Well, welcome to the show, Preston Glass. You've been on the show before. I urge people to go off and check out the previous interview you did with us. Just briefly to talk about your career in music. During the late '70s, you were a staff writer for Philadelphia producer Tom Bell. Eventually, you began working alongside Nada Michael Warden. You've also played on Aretha Franklin's 1980 album, Aretha and Stacey Linsaw's 1981 LP 16. You produced Johnny Gill on their 1984 LP Perfect Combination. You've done, wow, there's a whole ton of stuff that you've done. You've had such an incredible career. It's fantastic to have you back on the show with us here, Preston. If you can just kick off, basically tell us a little bit more about what you've been up to in the last few years since you've been on, and tell us more.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. And basically, I've been doing what I've always done. Music is like eating food to me. I have to do it in order to stay alive. So
Right.
I've been doing music still, whether it's writing or in some cases producing, and in some cases even being the record company for the project or artist.
Mm.
And that keeps me, engaged in not only the creative part, but the business part as well.
Yeah.
But I try and keep busy.
How do you find artists that you want to work with?
Oh, that's a good question. And you're one of my favorite artists as well, Skyler.
Oh, thank you.
So not somebody that whether it's in their voice or in their instrument that they play, somebody that has a way to reach hearts, but also is different. I don't like too many people that maybe they're phenomenal, but they're just like so and so.
Right.
I mean, I won't say I don't like it, but that doesn't excite me. I like somebody like, wow, they're different, but
Yeah.
yet they're talented. And so, like I said, whether it's a vocalist or could be a saxophone player, it could be a piano player, but that's what gets me going. It's uniqueness, but yet someone that can reach the heart.
And how do you approach them?
Well, if they don't already approach me, I'll tell you a funny story about that in a second. I just basically say, I love your work, love your music. I'm first a music fan. Even though I work in this business, I can't say buy records, but I still buy music. I still listen to new artists, just not so much like, oh, I want to work on them, just for relaxation, for love of music. So when I approach somebody, I say, I love listening to your music, and if there's a possibility of helping you with my, position or my abilities, I would love to do that. And vice versa. I would like you to be able to help me. And that's how.
And how much do you enjoy conscious music?
So you're saying music that has a message that is more than just romantic.
That's right.
So much so that I've dedicated a few projects to specifically that kind of thing. Back in, I think it was 2017, I started a little series called Love and Compassion. Preston Glass presents Love and Compassion. And I did 3 volumes of that with various artists. Sometimes it was known artists, sometimes it was new artists, but it was all songs about reaching the higher consciousness or people to think about applying positive things in their life like love, compassion, thinking of how they can help their fellow mankind. So I'm now in the process of starting another series called Golden Hearted Soul.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's the same premise, music that while it's loving, it's not necessarily romantic love. It's about how we can show love for mankind. In fact, there's somebody that we all know here, Skyler Jett. He's going to have a song on that project.
Oh, wonderful. Hey, I'm excited. Who were some of your favorite social conscious music artists?
Wow, that's a good question. Because, some artists, they're not necessarily all the time social conscious music
Okay.
artists.
Yeah.
Marvin Gaye's a perfect example. I mean, look, all his career was all get it
Love
on,
song.
get it on.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's right.
man, what's going on? Boom. That whole album, Mercy, Mercy Me, everything was great. And then back to sexual, I crack up, you know. It just, that was a moment in his life. So I wouldn't call him a socially conscious artist, but that album was probably maybe the greatest of all time in that.
Mm.
And I know a lot of artists like that, or a lot of maybe even songs like a song might be just a song. But there's a song that George Benson does on his 2020 album, kind of tucked away. It wasn't a big hit. It was called New Day.
Hmm.
Talking about, and that new day is coming soon. He's talking about what, oh, I wonder what it would be like, and da 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 da. It's a beautiful song, but the album is not that. The album is just, a bunch of love songs, and that's just stuck on there. So I wouldn't call George Benson a social conscious artist, but so I look for, basically it starts with the song. Sometimes I write the song, sometimes I look for it. But in the case of the song that you and I did, which is called Snowball Effect, is talking about you just start with a little grain of love, and then it rolls down the mountain and it becomes big.
Right.
So that was just the song. And so, but if I were to, there are a few like Richie Havens and people like that
Oh, wow.
that would be called that kind of an artist. Um, Arlo Guthrie, for that matter, Bob Dylan. But then
Yeah.
Bob Dylan, he's not always that way. He'll write a love song, so depends on the song, really.
Right. Like John Lennon when he wrote Imagine. Like he was huge just doing love songs and stuff like that. But when he wrote Imagine, that took his career to a whole nother level. You know what I mean? But there's been many. I mean, the OJ's Money, 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 right?
Yeah, well, they sang it. They didn't write it, but that was Gamble Huff and Anthony Jackson. Yeah, yeah, and like you said, it maybe that's not the course of their whole career, but then all of a sudden there's this song like with John Lennon. I mean, not John Lennon, John Lennon. That
Uh-huh.
song was like it took him to another echelon, and I think it's because it happened something happened in his life. Like in the case of Marvin Gaye, it was Frankie Gaye going to the Vietnam War, coming back and telling him what he was, what he experienced. And so it sparked Marvin to write that whole album. And then with John Lennon, Imagine it, he was going through a point in his life where he was seeing all these things happen. This is a man too that not only was in one country, he was a worldwide
Yeah.
guy, and so he's seen things in his country and our country, and relations with race and with war, with politics and religion, because he really showed a light on that,
Hmm.
shined a light on that. So I think those songs touch people because they're so different than other songs on the radio. Radio's different nowadays, but so different than everything we might hear. And if it's done right, it can really, again, reach the heart. Make
Right.
people, it can make people think. It can make people change their lives.
Yeah. And that whole time, man, like James Brown, I'm Black and I'm Proud, and Edwin Starr when he wrote what was it to War? What is it good for? Right?
Right.
They were making statements, at that time,
Now, I don't mean to correct you again, but that Edwin started in right there. That is
Ooh,
Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong, and the reason why I want to bring them up because they wrote some great songs. Not only that, but Ball of Confusion,
right.
um, other things that we're talking about life. Ball of Confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey,
Yeah. See?
moving out, poop moving in. Why? Because of the color of the skin. Right? I mean that's some deep stuff.
I wasn't saying he wrote it. He performed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm always an advocate for the songwriter, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Tom?
Well, aside from what we've already mentioned with you, Preston, you've produced, wow, a ton of people. I mean, George Benson, you produced Kenny G, you've produced George Howard, all kinds of people. Have you, just off the back of that point, do you see the process or the kind of production side of things and the business in general? Have you seen a massive change? I suppose you have done over because this is sort of, you're talking 80s, 90s. Have you seen a huge change in the way of things are produced and how artists get things out there with social media and all the rest of it?
We could talk for days about that, but in a nut, to answer your question with one word, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, big change. Not only in the creative process, because you can make music now just on your little laptop. You couldn't do that back then. But the business models, you know, you had back then, you had your record companies, you had to get a record deal to get your music out there. They were the gatekeepers, you know, to that. These days, you can put out music yourself. Anybody, your next door neighbor can put out an album tomorrow.
Yeah.
So they couldn't do that back in the day. Everything has changed in that way. And in some ways, it's great because people that didn't have the opportunities have it now. But I think in maybe more ways than half, it is kind of lowered the bar, because now all of a sudden you have music that's out there that is not really that good quality.
Right.
No, yeah,
lot,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And the average Joe doesn't know that. The average Joe thinks, okay,
Brilliant.
that album is on iTunes, so should I get that? And they listen to it. Oh, that's terrible. Or maybe they don't say that's terrible. They think, oh, that's the song that's out there. Okay, it might be terrible, but in their minds, that's what's out there.
Yeah.
So the bar is lower.
Yeah.
You know, back then, hey, you ain't getting no record deal unless you were quality. I mean, you know, not that every executive knew their music, but for the most part, they're not spending, you know, 100,000, 200,000, you know, that kind of money on junk.
Yeah.
I used to watch how they put these records out. Now, it might be an executive over there, and they're the one that picked a record off, you know, out of 12, 15 records, right? And they might have had a better record on the album.
Yeah.
But these executives go, no, we're gonna put this one out. And when they put it out and it fails, now you're signed and you can't move.
Yeah. That's changed. It's a little different now. I mean, it depends on your deal or what you got going. But the average Joe, they're not stuck. Okay, we'll just move over here and do another one, or you know, that was that album. This is going to be a new one. But looking at it positively, that's the way life evolves, music evolves, because, and if you don't have things evolving, you'll be stuck in the same place. So you want things to move forward.
Oh.
You know, whether it's technology, whether it's creativity. And then, like I said, the average Joe that maybe never could put together a demo because of their low finances or where they're located. But now as long as they got a phone, they can reach out, and they might have that just one great song that, you know, whether it's Imagine or that could do it.
Yeah, I love the story of What's Going On album. You know, Barry, you know, he's doing all these love songs and women crazy, and Barry goes, "What you gonna do now?" He goes, "Well, man, I got to do a social conscious record, man. I got to tell people what's going on." That's where that title came from.
Yeah.
And I love the way he segued. The record didn't stop right after it was over.
Right.
He wrote music into the next song. You know what I mean? That was the cool thing about that, right?
Everything is great. It's so different. It didn't conform to all the other albums out there. See, Barry was so concerned about his company and making sure they don't, you know, they keep in his mind, it was the standards of Black America, but don't dance to a different drum, or they might cut it off for us. You know, don't. And that album wasn't called. It was called a protest album, right? So what does protest mean? It means you're going to want to go against the status quo. So, woo, that to Barry was okay, do that. And the only reason why he ended up, because that album sat on the shelf for about I think a year and a half. We put out What's Going On to some local DJs, and they all went crazy. Like, it's like, wow. So Barry's like, oh, whoa, we got something here. But and you know, you talk to people like, I think it was Smokey Robinson that said that's his favorite album of all time. Of all the millions of albums that are out there, that Smokey Robinson, who is a great writer himself. But sometimes those things happen, I won't say by accident, but by happenstance, or my wife would say by what's that word you use where it's you wouldn't expect it, but there's a reason it's happening. It's needed out there. And so I believe that kind of music is needed out there.
Wow.
Serendipity, I think, Preston.
That's the word. Serendipity.
Yeah.
Wow. Very good. Thank you, Tom.
Good word. I was just checking out the hardware on your wall there at the back there, Preston.
Oh,
lots of
at my mother-in-law's house. You know, two of those. Let me see. 3 of these albums back here are music from Larry Graham, who is my brother-in-law, and of course her other son-in-law. And one of them's from Whitney Houston. I worked on that, but yeah. So this is family.
Good stuff. Yeah, family business. Yeah.
You up in the Bay?
Yeah, I'm up in the Bay.
Well, so which one you like the best, L.A. or the Bay?
That's funny you said that. And in relation to what we're talking about, I think the Bay Area has more of that social conscious vibe, you know, from back in the Flower Child days and Monterey Jazz Festival and all that stuff, and San Francisco Flower Child and Haight-Ashbury, you know,
hippie
vibe. Yeah, that's a whole nother vibe. But that came from what? You know, people love, you know, the whole love generation, you know,
love and peace. And
I mean, it was such a broad term, but it really meant something positive. It's not negative. You don't want to hurt nobody, you know. So that's the Bay Area, really. You know, even Black Panthers, you know, Black Panthers
Oakland
started out of, you know, trying to help the community. And Oakland, that's right where I'm at. So all that, you know, LA's, I don't want to say nothing bad about LA, but you know, Hollywood, you know, but it's got its place. But no, I prefer the Bay.
Tom?
I'm just wondering what you're working on at the moment. If there's anything that you're doing currently, or any new projects or anything like that you're working on at all.
I have a brand new record label association now, and new distribution that just started this year. The label's called Perpetual Gold. I try and keep all my labels or with PG.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Platinum Garage, Permanent Groove. Now it's Perpetual Gold. But you can always see the PG.
Yeah.
So I have a new album coming out March 28th. Okay. The single from it is coming out March 7th. The single's called Stay on the Dance Floor. And the album is, Preston Glass is my name, but the artist is Preston Glass and Chosen Family, because I have a group of people that I love working with, in particular vocalists that are phenomenal singers. I'm not a singer. So,
right.
I feature one of them, you know, well, Tony Lindsay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's singing, I think 4 of the songs on there, but so that's coming out March 28th on the new label. And then I have an album that I mentioned a little earlier, the Golden Hearted Soul collection. That'll be out in the end of April, actually.
Nice.
Those are more personal albums, and I'm doing, writing for the Temptations right now. They're doing a new album. So I keep busy.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Listen, brother, I love you so much, man. Thank you for the privilege of your time coming on our show, right?
Great to see you again.
And Tom's gonna get some information so we can spread the love.
All right. Love you all too. Thank you.
Just so we can just add it to the bottom of the video here, Preston, if there's any kind of social media details or websites you've got that people can go off and check out what you are working on, if you can give us those, I'll put them in the bottom of the video here.
Yeah, well, on Instagram, I'm just pglass1012.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Facebook just as me. If there are any other Preston Glasses and they don't have a hat on, that's not me.
Fair enough. Oh, brilliant. What we'll do, I'll put those links on the video anyway, Preston, and people can go out and check it out.
All right. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. Okay, take care.
Much love. Okay, take care.
Okay.
Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all get together, music can save the world. Yeah. Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all come together, music can save the world. There's an urgency facing our humanity.
Thank you so much for watching. To stay up to date, please click subscribe and hit the bell. You can also join our group on Facebook and find us on LinkedIn and Instagram.